Hello, salut tout le monde. My name is Jimmy Smith, and welcome to the beginner's version of the key grape variety Syrah or Shiraz. So here's a few little bits on it. So Syrah is a variety which has mistakenly been thought to come from Syria or Shiraz or Syracuse in the past. But in fact, since the 1990s, we have known through DNA profiling of the grapes that Syrah actually is from the southeast of France, so around the Rhone and the Alps. So its parents were found, so with this very similar genetic coding, was found to be two varieties down in that area. So that's why we today know it's from there. So we know this around the northern Rhone and the southern Rhone zone. Okay, so it is not from the ancient kingdom of Persia, so Shiraz. It is not from Sicily, Syracuse, and it is not from Syria. I mean, that was just an obvious link to the name, but it is not from there. The grape variety loves warm conditions, so it's often found in soils which will create that warmer conditions. But of course, the climate, the overarching climate, is very important. So of course, we're talking about southern and central France, but also places like Australia, Argentina, California, and so on, and Spain, central Spain. The grapes are very thick-skinned with a hell of a lot of color and lots of tannin in them. So that is the antioxidant that's found within the skins, which gives wine ability to age. And it's also the kind of structuring bitterness that you may get on your palate. So it's very high in those. And because it's so protected with these tannins, it will often be worked with, as it mentions here, often be worked with oak. So when the grapes are pressed and fermented, and then finally when the wine is matured before bottling, oak will be the founding vessel for found as a varietal grape in places like Australia on its own, in Northern Rhone on its own, but it can also be blended. So you may find that Grenache, for instance, is blended in France with it, or in Australia, things like Cabernet Sauvignon can be blended with the grape variety. And this is often to create a balance, often to create some consistency within the final wine. The final thing that I haven't actually put on this list here is the name. Now, as we just mentioned, though, at the top of this slide, Shiraz, its name was given kind of by the Australians that it was Shiraz because it was widely accepted that the grape came from somewhere at that time from around Persia. But as we now know, it is not. It is French in origin, and that is the Syrah name. Many grapes in the world, in fact, most of them have different names, alternative names, synonyms. So you'll often find different names. So things like Sangiovese has 5 or 6 names in Italy. Nebbiolo has 5 or 6 names in northern Italy, and so on and so on. And it's our key places where we find this grape variety, this big, powerful black style. This is in its home country, the biggest production is France, but go back 50 years, it was quite a minor grape. It's been the importance and the real marketing of Australia that's put this grape back on the map, and that's why France has rebounded with plantations of this variety. So France has nearly about, it's just below double the production of what Australia has today. But Australia is the biggest New World country, of course, a sizable amount in South Australia, but across the whole southeastern Australia zone, you will find Shiraz being grown. It is a culprit of the mass production of Australia as well. So you'll find Shiraz Cabernet blends from the sort of central parts of southeastern Australia. Spain, most of it is right in the center, the Meseta Plain of Spain, and it's been quite a popular grape in the last 20 to 30 years. Argentina around Mendoza and often blended with Malbec and Cabernet. South Africa, wonderful stuff around the Swartland. I talk a lot more about that on the advanced version, so please look at that if you need more information. There's some brilliant wines out there. California, lots of it being produced, of course, around the Central Valley, but also a bit in Washington State and also New Roots. So blackberry, black cherry, black currant, chocolate, black pepper, licorice, and things like mint or eucalypt notes can be quite common as well. So these are big, aromatic, and spicy wines with quite a bit of tannin behind them, so dryness and bitterness, and they can have quite big acids as well, so they can be quite balanced with their acidities, but they tend to be full. In places like Australia, Argentina, California, the alcohols will be quite high. They tend to be sort of moderate to high in places like France in the old world. So that brings us to a close for our key grape variety Syrah beginner's version. Like I said once before, please, if you want more in-depth knowledge, please look at the advanced version. Any questions or comments, please get in contact with any of these handles. The main one for me is Wine with Jimmy, but the wine schools and also our wine bar as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for tuning in and listening. I'll see you again very soon. Bye!